Welcome to The Gavel, your weekly Denver City Council wrap-up. Here's what happened this week. On Monday, March 18th, City Council approved $5 million in funds to study the widening of Pena Boulevard. The project is aimed to reduce traffic not only on the way to the airport, but also to the Green Valley Ranch and Montbello neighborhoods. An earlier study proposed 5 potential changes to Pena: adding a bus lane, adding a carpool or toll lane, building a frontage road for local traffic, building a new road to separate airport and local traffic, or no changes to the highway at all.
It's our community's main road for us to get in and out of the community. So by not doing anything, by saying no to this $5 million for the study, we are essentially saying yes then to pushing single occupancy vehicles into the Montbello and the Green Valley Ranch neighborhoods.
But some council members wanted to see other options.
It does not appear to me that Den is seriously looking at any other options for future funding, wherever that money might come from. We can't continue to be lazy in addressing climate change. I believe we'll end up widening Pena one way or the other, but we've got to be laying out a roadmap for a more sustainable future.
The study narrowly passed with a 7-6 vote. Also on March 18th, the Budget and Policy Committee heard a presentation from 3 council members and Community Planning and Development about the rezoning processes for accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. About 36% of Denver's land is zoned for residential use, but does not allow for ADUs. This means in order to build an ADU, owners would have to rezone their property. That process can take 4 to 6 weeks and cost over $1,000. City officials consider this a barrier preventing more ADU construction in Denver. About 30 to 50% of rezonings that go through city planning and development have been for individual ADU rezoning.
We're now at the point where I think we have a high degree of comfort saying that if those very carefully thought out parameters are met, at this point, you shouldn't have to deal with zoning as an additional barrier. That is expensive and time consuming and somewhat unpredictable for the applicant.
In response, the presenters are proposing a change to the zoning code to allow ADUs wherever there is residential rezoning. To do so, it would go through a public review process, move on to the planning board before being approved by City Council. Council is expected to hold a public hearing in August. On Wednesday, March 20th, the Safety Committee heard a briefing on the Capital City Mobile Home Park Preservation Project. On March 11th of this year, Council approved $2.6 million for a loan toward the purchase of the site of a mobile home park in the Westwood neighborhood. The site contains 78 mobile home spaces. The preservation project allows for a local nonprofit, Sharing Connection, to purchase the property temporarily to prevent displacement of people living at the park. Sharing Connection expects to hold the property for 3 years, while residents form the Monte Vista Housing Cooperative to ultimately purchase the mobile home park. Moving forward, the property can only be used for the rental of mobile home spaces, and 60 of those spots will be reserved for households with an income at or below 80% of the area median income. Also this week, the Finance Committee sent to the full City Council a plan to streamline how elected officials get their salaries set. Council would make changes to the city charter, making the language on raises and salaries easier to understand and to increase transparency of the process. City Council will not meet on March 25th due to the Cesar Chavez Day holiday. The next council meeting will be on Tuesday, March 26th. You can find links to City Council meetings, schedules, agendas, events, and news at denvergov.org/City Council. Denver City Council meets every Monday at 3:30 at the City and County Building Council Chambers, or tune in live on Denver 8 or Zoom. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for Denver news, events, and information.